Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you.
Question. Frank, what have you seen, from the progression where he admitted the elephant in the room in the Buffalo game, came back and did what he did in Baltimore, and then the precision like last week? Is that maturation part of the process? How did you see that?
Yeah, definitely. Again, I think we've talked about how much he's learned, from each situation and circumstance, and a lot of these things he's experiencing for the first time. But what I'm most impressed and excited about is how much he grows from a good or bad experience. When he has a good one, I think it reinforces the things that he's doing right, and then he continues to do those things the right way. And then when we get challenged with some adversity or we make a mistake, or experience something that we haven't before, he's such a good learner and able to then implement that the next time those things come up, and fix a problem or do something better than the time before. So I don't know what else you could ask from a player. It'd be great if we all could do that. Some players take a little bit longer than others to digest a mistake and then learn from it and then utilize it. Boy, does he does that really well.
Josh, you were reflecting yesterday on the first conversation you guys had. Said it was on FaceTime.
Yeah.
You were in your office.
Yeah.
This is not surprisingly. Apparently, you were in there a lot.
Yeah.
What do you remember about that and just your mindset at the time in terms of starting something?
Yeah, it had nothing to do with football. That's what I remember, which was the way it should be, And I think a lot of times everybody's eager to get into the X's and O's and the terminology and those kind of things when you have a new staff or new player. But I think the biggest thing for all of us in the spring was just trying to get to know the people that were getting ready to coach, and where they were from and what their family situation is like and what are they like, what are they interested in outside of football. We knew there would be a lot of time for football, but just been so impressed with the young man in terms of the way he was brought up and raised. I've told his parents that a number of times. You can see that with their relationship, the relationship he has with his brothers, getting to know his wife. I mean, it's just, he's a great guy to be around every day, and we're super lucky to have him. But I remember that being an exciting opportunity for us just to kind of get that started, knowing we would have plenty of opportunity to talk about football.
Josh, it looks like you guys had some success in the red zone last week against the Jets. What were some of the contributing factors there? And what's the level of confidence in that particular part of your game going into the postseason?
High. I think that any success we have is always attributed to the players being able to execute. Got some different looks from the Jets last week, and guys did a really good job of executing against some difficult things. And then we had some scheme things that, again, they did a really nice job of executing when they had their number called. So I think the red zone is different each week because each opponent plays different things. Miami's certainly a different defense than what we played last week or the last few weeks. And they'll present different challenges that we're going to need to do a good job of being ready for. But I think this is just about, focusing at the end of a drive. You've been on the field 6, 8, 10 plays sometimes, and now you really need your best. And a lot of teams throw the most stuff at you when you're inside the 20-yard line, certainly inside the 10. And it's going to come down to 1 or 2 plays of whether our execution is as good as it needs to be to get it in. So I think our guys were excited about what they did last week and look forward to trying to build on that tomorrow when we go into the red zone.
Josh, can you talk a little bit about on your side of the house where Diggs' head's at right now with everything that's on his plate off the field?
I can't speak for Steph, certainly. I know we had a good day at work yesterday, and I know he's had a great day today so far in terms of being ready to go and walking through our stuff and installation. So I'll let Steph talk about that.
Any concern about availability going throughout the playoffs if we get down farther?
I'm just concerned about today, honestly, the practice.
Josh, are you pleased with how the run game has progressed of late, and how important is that going to be going forward?
Yeah, I think we're always trying to improve it, and we've made progress, definitely. And I think that there's no shortcuts to doing that, but I definitely think we're in a better place now than what we've been at. And that's all 11 guys on the field doing their job the right way, and again, we've stayed at it. The guys up front, the coaches, Doug, Hoss, Cougs, Thomas, Tony, Todd, they've done a really good job of, emphasizing the things we need to do to get better in that area. We want to be balanced. We want to stay balanced. We know we know where we play. And, when the weather gets a little crazy every once in a while, you're going to need to be able to turn and hand the ball to the back and block people and run the ball when they know you got to run it and that you want to run it. And so I'm excited for the progress that we've made and look forward to us trying to continue to improve that area of our game also.
When it comes to Efton take on some of the blocking roles that Mac had in the past, what made him the right guy to do that?
It wasn't all him. I will say that, but I certainly think that, look, somebody's got to do it. You know what I mean? And we kind of share the burden a little bit. I know the tight ends did some of that stuff last week for us as well. But Efton has just shown an aptitude to understand that's not as easy as it sounds. Like people say, well, I just go in there and block the guy. Well, first of all, is, who am I blocking? When am I blocking him? What shoulder am I blocking him on? Where's the ball going? When do I fit here? When do I fit there? Do I motion to get him? Do I not? There's a lot of little things that go into this. So he's just shown a strong aptitude and understanding and desire to learn it, even though he hasn't had a million reps at it since training camp. And so getting him the work last week, I thought, he showed us that he was going to be dependable to do his job in that regard, and really excited and proud of the way he played last week in terms of his toughness, his finish. We talk about the identity so much, and he went out there and embodied it, with the way he played. So really excited for him to get his chance.
When it comes to Drake's execution against disguise coverage, he's shown a lot of poise and decisiveness this season. How much of that is his preparation and maybe what you're able to tell him pre-snap, and how much of that is what he just does pre-snap, post-snap, and just naturally on his own?
I don't think there's really one area of that question that isn't important. I think he does an incredible job of preparing. He watches a lot of tape. We have a lot of meetings, and discuss a lot of things, but he practices the way you want to play as well. So in practice, we asked the scout team to do an incredible job of giving us a look, and they do. We could give out 6 or 8 scout team player of the week awards each week because of the look we get from those guys, which we're grateful for. So they challenge them. So I think that the 3 days of practice leading into the game, you get some semblance of what it's going to feel like on Sunday. And then, he goes out there and he tries to, I think the more you prepare, the better you prepare, the more the game feels like this is just another day for me, because I'm used to this and my eyes are in the right place and I have the calm and the poise to do the right thing. So another area where I think he's really, taken huge strides this year. I think we all have confidence that he's going to read it out once the ball is snapped and figure out what the coverage is and go to the right place with the ball.
Obviously, I know you don't get a vote, but Drake's running for MVP in a lot of places. Just what would be, your opinion on that?
I vote for Patriots. You're right. I don't have a vote. I think it's an incredibly humbling thing just to be in the conversation. I've had an opportunity to coach somebody that won that award before, and it's to be talked about like that. You've earned that. You know what I mean? Regardless of how it turns out, regardless of how other people feel or vote or whatever. I don't know who votes on that or how it ultimately unfolds, but to be in the conversation, there's a lot of pride in what you've done and a lot of pride in what your teammates have done with you, because there's no way that any of those players deserve that award without the recognition of the guys that are out there on the field with them, because they just can't do it alone. This is not golf, so I think that's a really cool team honor. I really do believe that, and I'm sure he's humbled to be in the conversation. I'm sure.
Josh, as we enter the last regular season games, how grateful are you to be here? I don't know if you ever thought you'd return, especially after Bill left, but just how grateful are you to be here in a situation like with Mike, working with Drake?
Beyond grateful. This is, I've said this a number of times, this has kind of been a really special place for me in my professional career, but not just that, but my personal life. So My kids, my wife, my family has really grown up and been raised here in New England. And to have this opportunity to be with Mike at this place and to have a chance to be around this group of people every day, there's a lot of joy in it.
Josh, in terms of dealing with